If it's good enough for you, it's good enough for me. It's good enough for you. It happens to the best of us. Wow, really gorgeous stuff. 25th of April. Something big is happening tomorrow.
What is it, the 25th of April?
25th of April.
Today?
Today.
Happy birthday, Gabe.
Happy birthday, Gabe. Something big's happening tomorrow, though, as well.
Today's the day that matters.
Yeah. It happens to the best of us. If anyone can prove and show to me that I think and act in error, I will gladly change it. For I seek the truth, but which no one has ever been harmed. The one who is harmed is the one who abides in deceit and ignorance. Marcus Aurelius. Okay, so I want to talk about feedback. Now, it is very important to get feedback and receive feedback and seek out feedback. By getting feedback, you learn and you improve and you gain so much from it. What about giving feedback? When is it appropriate to give feedback in a sales environment?
Really good. Well, we're on this journey. We've not been leaders before we have a meeting.
Mm-hmm.
So where have you wanted to give feedback? Where have been the moments where you're like, well, I want to say something, whether it's to a client or a colleague?
I think giving feedback to a colleague has always felt safer because it's a safe environment of like, okay, well, we're running the company. If there's a feedback on a call, a lot of the time people will look to us for feedback. But actually, when it comes to clients, they might be looking to use us for one service, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're wanting to get lots and lots of feedback on how to run their business.
Mm-hmm.
So it can be tricky. There are tricky conversations to be had. And luckily for the audience at home, one of our specialities is tricky conversations.
Exactly. So there's a couple of rules here that are going to help people out. One is, and this is a rule for life, difficult conversations work best preemptively. So if we were to onboard a new client, we would let them know there might have to be some tricky conversation. We tend not to work with people who aren't open to improving their sales process.
Yeah.
Sometimes as a business, we will spot things that where you think this is a meetings problem. We book you the meetings and you still have the same problem. We might have to give you some hard advice there.
Yeah.
Say, yeah, that's fine, of course. But the ground rules have been set. And even me and you starting to work together, we need some rules in place, like how we're going to communicate with each other. We need to be open to taking criticism giving criticism and taking feedback and giving feedback and keeping each other honest
and accountable.
The same with Ben, our ops director. Like, these are the things that you need to make sure you get right. I mean, the first thing that we say to people in an interview is, how do you like to be communicated with?
Yeah, how do you like to be managed? Some people like it hard and fast, and some people like it slow and soft.
Sorry, mate.
Feedback.
I see. And I always say to people when I deliver that question, don't just tell me what I want to hear, because I'll actually live by this.
Yeah.
Because everyone always says, yeah, just tell me straight, tell me how it is. And the first time you tell them how it is, they're like, wow, that's hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
It's fine. Some people are like that and some people aren't. And I know I used to have a lad in my office who was like, actually, could you sugarcoat it a bit before we get there? Could I have a bit of positive first? Fine. Of course I can. So understanding the ground rules of what listening am I speaking into.
Yeah. And I also think that when I've done research or I've spoken to old leaders,
Give me an example.
There's been a guy called John, great guy.
Yeah.
Great guy. There's been phrases like the shit sandwich.
Okay.
Or build, break, build, which is quite a funny way to say, I'm going to build you up and then I'm going to break you down, but don't worry, I'm going to build you back up. So they're the same kind of analogy, but I'm going to start with something positive, then I'm going to give you something constructive, but I'm going to end with something positive. So I'm going to say, the way that you've been working recently, it feels like you're putting a lot of effort in. It feels like you might be putting effort into the wrong places, which is actually like leading to probably not getting the results. But I actually feel that if you just focus more on turning up on time, doing X and focusing on X, then you probably get to the position where you want to be to become a team leader or a sales manager or insert job role here. Build, break, build.
Really, really good. Really, really good. Have you ever got it wrong?
So many times.
You get it wrong, or you feel like afterwards, I actually got that wrong?
I think the best way, like the rule of thumb, is to own up to your mistakes and get there first. And rather, I've had conversations before and like I've left the room and I've thought, oh, that vibe was off. Let me just re-grab you. And I've said, like, I feel like actually in that conversation I might have upset you or offended you, or just call it out, and like obviously the intention wasn't there. And the response before has had sometimes my guts off and my feelings wrong. They're like, no, that's just my concentration face.
An obvious one as well is like, don't do the feedback thing in front of people.
Yeah.
Which is, you know, what a story that I've got is, I remember once hitting target at a job I had, and I had a boss who was like always, he couldn't give you any of the praise, you know what I mean? So I'd hit target, and the whole team's like, oh, well done, Zach, nice one. And he marched over and just started asking me loads of like maths questions about targets, like, and how would you have done it if you wanted to get 120% of target instead, and how would you, asking me loads of questions. And then I just went, you wouldn't be able to go and sit down with you because you're actually starting to piss me off. And the whole office just went quiet like that. And he went to ask something else. I went, literally just sit down.
That was it.
And he went and sat down. Then he was like messaging someone else, like, do you think I need to do something about that? But one, that was the wrong thing for me to do, to react like that. But two, it's the wrong thing for him to come over and question and give that feedback, especially and put me on the spot in front of people during a moment that was like positive.
Yeah, but especially when you're trying to build a team and motivate a team. Stoic Zach now, how would he have responded to that? I am Marcus Aurelius, and I would have said, that's, I really like what you're trying to do. Would we be able to maybe chuck some time in the diary? Because I'd love to learn a bit more about what you're trying to teach me. Yeah. And then when
he probably going to sit down and not put anything in the diary because he wasn't actually looking to do that.
Ego. I've been Jack Frimston.
I've been Zach Thompson.
Remember, you will die.
I'll just take the Penny Della Casa, please.